My dreams come true.
Well, good morning, shifters. It is Friday. Yes, we've gotten to Friday, May 17, 2024, and welcome to BS Street Presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Again, the name is Cole Johnson, obviously. And for the next 60 minutes, sit back and relax as we get you and keep you informed, enlightened, educated, entertained, and spiritually fed. Well, on the program later this hour, we will touch on Ashley Madison. Do we really like to keep? We'll touch on that in the program spotlight. Later on, we will touch on, of course, the devastation in Houston, which is unfortunate, and we will also talk about being quick but not hurrying. That is all for later, but for now, let's start you up. And here's what's taking place in the world today. 2 people have died and 2 others were injured after a home explosion in Ohio, according to local reports. The home in the rural area of Fulton County, Ohio, exploded around 5:30 a.m. Thursday morning. And this took place basically about 40 miles southwest of the Toledo area, near the border, of course, of Ohio and Michigan. WTVG reported that the authorities on the scene said a woman and a young boy were pulled out of the home and were taken to the hospital for injuries. The bodies of 2 others, which was a man and a girl, unfortunately were found later in the morning. Authorities have not released the ages of the or identified any of the people in the explosion, and the cause of the explosion is still under investigation. 2 brothers who went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology are facing fraud charges after prosecutors say that the pair schemed to obtain $25 million in cryptocurrency in just 12 seconds. The 2 brothers were charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and according to a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Southern District of New York, they called their actions, quote, a novel scheme by the defendants to exploit the very integrity of the Ethereum blockchain, close quote. Ethereum is a technological term used for digital money, global payments, and applications, according to their website. Governor Greg Abbott on Thursday granted a full pardon to a man who was convicted of murder for the 2020 death of a Black Lives Matter protester in downtown Austin, immediately after an unanimous recommendation from the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles. The board announced its recommendation to pardon him and restore his firearms rights in a statement posted on his website on Thursday. The decision came after what they termed was a meticulous review of the pertinent documents, from police reports to court reports, witness statements, and interviews with individuals linked to the case. A Michigan judge dismissed a lawsuit that brought about against former Michigan State football coach Mel Tucker by the woman the school said he sexually harassed. The lawsuit, which centered around text messages sent to 2 women that were released by Tucker and his attorneys last year, had been filed on behalf of one of the woman's nonprofit and an LLC in her name. The Spartans fired Tucker for cause last year after one of the women reported that he sexually harassed her, and the university investigated. Tucker's attorneys have said that the messages below showed that the woman had a personal consensual relationship with Tucker. Police in Atlanta said that they are investigating a criminal homicide after a movie crew reported that they found a woman's body under an interstate overpass in the city yesterday. According to a release from the Atlanta Police Department, the officers were flagged down before 5:30 a.m. after someone found the body in a neighborhood 8 miles east of downtown ATL. A man told investigators that he smoked marijuana oil and took prescription drugs hours before his pickup truck sideswiped a bus, killing 8 farm workers in Florida, according to an arrest affidavit. 41-year-old man was charged with 8 counts of DUI manslaughter after collision Tuesday, killing 8 people and injuring dozens more. The arrest affidavit said that he was non-responsive after the crash and was identified as the driver of the 2001 Ford Ranger pickup truck that rammed into the bus carrying workers on their way to a watermelon farm early on Tuesday. Filmmaker Sam Taylor Johnson was eager to cast British actress Marissa Abela as ill-fated singer Amy Winehouse in her biopic Back to Black. Then she got some shocking news. The actress just simply couldn't sing. As Sam Taylor Johnson actually recalled the conversation she had with the actress, quote, she said to me, "By the way, how much singing is there?" I said, "Well, quite a lot." Close quote. But the director figured that if the 27-year-old actress could focus on embodying Amy on a soul level, then lip syncing to Winehouse's famously unique voice would take care of the rest. Well, it actually wasn't necessary, because thanks to incessant work ethic with the vocal coach, Abela wound up mimicking Winehouse so well that even diehard fans would be hard-pressed to tell the two apart. Back to Black, which is, of course, one of the 2 albums that was titled after Amy Winehouse's ill-fated career, will be in theaters today. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz backed Donald Trump at his hush money trial yesterday and echoed the former president's infamous 2020 presidential debate line, calling on the notorious Proud Boys to stand back and to stand by. Trump is on week 5 of his trial for allegedly falsifying business records and to hide campaign finance violations back in 2016 and a hush money payment issued to porn star Stormy Daniels. The GOP have lined up behind Trump throughout the week, blasting the judge, the witnesses, and the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, some of which Trump is barred from doing so under a gag order. Gaetz had plenty of critiques to share outside the courthouse, but took a step further on X, formerly Twitter, posting a photo of himself behind the former president with the caption saying, quote, "Standing back and standing by, Mr. President." Close quote. In sports on the ice, the Canucks hold serve at home to lead their best-of-7 series in the Western Conference 3-2. The Rangers went to Tobacco Road and ended hurricane season and advanced to the Eastern Conference Final, and they ended their Eastern Conference semifinal matchup against the Hurricanes in 6 games. On to the hardwood, where the Timberwolves ran over the Nuggets 115-70 to force a Game 7 on Sunday in Denver. Will the Pacers and Knicks join them? We'll find that out tonight as the Knicks and Pacers do battle in Indy later on tonight, with the Knicks leading their best-of-7 series 3-2. To weather now. In the Pacific Northwest, it will be partly cloudy and 64, in Seattle. It'll be mostly sunny and 84 in Minneapolis, mostly sunny, 75 in Chicago, rainy and 78 in St. Louis, a little bit of the west stuff, of course, in Detroit, and with a high of 74 there. On the East Coast, it'll be partly cloudy and 65 in Boston, cloudy and 73 in New York, cloudy and 74 in the nation's capital. In the South, it will be partly cloudy and 90 in Miami. It will be rainy and 70 in Atlanta, rainy and 76 in Memphis. A thunderstorm sunny mix in 89 in New Orleans. Over to the Southwest, and we'll touch on Houston later. They will be raining in 78 today. Partly cloudy and 84 in San Antonio, partly cloudy and 84 in Dallas as well. It will be mostly sunny and 83 in Denver. It will be sunny 101 in Phoenix, sunny 100 in Las Vegas. And on the West Coast, it will be partly cloudy and 63 in San Francisco. It will also be partly cloudy in the City of Angels with a high of 70. Well, that is your look on weather today. And now we have started you up. Well, later this hour, we will definitely touch on the devastation in Houston. We also will talk about being quick but not hurrying. That's later. But next, Ashley Madison, are they tapping into our nature to want to cheat? You're watching The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Bernstein.
NBA people are the best people ever. Everything that I've ever wanted to do was always sort of pointed towards the NBA.
Yes.
Daniel Jones, I don't listen, I wasn't sold on him in the beginning either.
Ben Sutter.
Dan Quinn. Like, he may not be the greatest head coach, but one thing we do know is that he can coach defenses.
Mirren Fader.
If I did a biography on Hakeem Olajuwon, this is the first true international superstar.
Looking for the up-to-date information in the world of sports? The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Live every Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Life.
Scratching and clawing to overcome adversities in life.
Family.
That's what I love about our children. God instilled that in us, and thank God they carry on that torch.
Marriage.
We struggled in different ways, naturally, as husband and wife.
And God.
The Lord is on my side. I will not fear what man can do unto me.
Join the husband and wife team of Ben Southern Jr. and Irene Southern as they give you the full scope of life. BS3 Network proudly presents the Suds Are Us podcast, live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson, obviously. It is great to greet you on this wonderful Friday. Hopefully everything is safe and dry, I should say, and wonderful where you are. Let's get to the shifters, shall we? And one of the main shifters, the playmaker, wonderful episode that he put forth yesterday on the Ramley Talk, touching on the upcoming 2024 season for the Rams. He says, morning shift. He says, happy Friday, everyone. And then here is Vicala, or V like a 3, or Victor Locke, 1/3 of the Snowman in the Morning team. You can catch them live on the Snowman Multimedia YouTube channel about 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. It says, good morning to you and the Morning Shift, headed by my friend and mentor, the EP of all EPs, and the master of the comedic epithet, Iron Cole Johnson. Thank you, sir. Ryan McCarthy, of No Credentials Required, or McCoffee, as Snowman would call him. He says, good morning, fellow shifters. Good morning to you, my fellow shifter. Cool McCain, he says, Shift Nation, we in these streams, you doggone right you are. And good morning to everyone. He says, man, it is wonderful to see the beautiful, beautiful shifters giving love to one another and to you all out there. All right. Cheating. Yeah, I know it sounds strange to actually even discuss this, but when you have society that sort of pumps something like this, it does give you a cause to pause, right? Are we a culture that loves to be in extramarital affairs or in affairs that are illicit? Well, in just my thoughts, I'm going to touch on this and give you my thoughts on what Ashley Madison has to say about it. The tagline is really simple and basic and out there for everyone to see. Quote, life is short, have an affair. Close quote. That is the infamous tagline of Ashley Madison. Now, it's a dating and relationship site for married people looking for another relationship outside of the matrimonial home. Now, the story of Ashley Madison is back in the news. And why is it? It is thanks to a Netflix docuseries, Ashley Madison's Sex License Scandal. And it was released this past Wednesday. The 3-episode show explores the beginnings of Ashley Madison 23 years ago, its rise of popularity, and its bombshell 2015 data breach that revealed the information of over 30 million users. Ashley Madison continues to operate even to today. And they say on their website, quote, with more than 80 million signups since 2002 and hundreds of thousands of new members monthly, close quote. The Netflix series features interviews with people who explain why they decided to join Ashley Madison. Now, the guy that was named in the Ashley Madison hack, a Christian YouTuber named Sam Nader, he candidly described how he found life boring not long after marrying his wife. An advertisement for Ashley Madison bearing its notorious slogan intrigued him, and he went on to say to USA Today, quote, let me try this again, quote, an affair is always an escape from something, even if it's not necessarily the marriage itself. People often do it to relieve some internal stress. Like, my marriage is great, but I need something else. So they find relief through someone else where everything seems perfect, because if you're not dealing with the stressors of a committed marriage. Close quote. Now, there was a 2020 study which found that in addition to relationship woes and affairs that are motivated by self-esteem and stress and boredom, those findings were in line with past research that revealed that people overwhelmed with such a thing were more likely to cheat in an emotional regulation strategy. What also might be at play, though, is also a phenomenon that experts would call, Lord, quote, affair fog, close quote. Now, this occurs when the person's engaging in an affair and they are hyper-focused on the excitement of a new relationship and not really considering the gravity of everything surrounding them. Relationship coach Darlene Cullett actually also talked to USA Today, and she had this to say about the affair fog. Quote, someone in the affair fog will be immersed in this fantasized honeymoon phase of the new fling, and they don't think about the emotional toll it takes on the people around them. Close quote. Now, some people may end up leaving their spouse for the affair partner. Experts, though, they say that more than often that does not happen because the adrenaline rush of an affair provides only that temporary fix, much like a drug, with permanent consequences. And this is how it was described from someone also that was interviewed by USA Today as well. The person being cheated on is also put in a situation, is also put in complete chaos and in a complete crisis, simply because their partner's decision of wanting to go outside of the marriage and outside of the relationship, and it just makes the whole situation horrible. Now, the relationship expert Colette said that narcissists who lack empathy for others, including their own partners, are also more likely to cheat as well, and more likely to cheat with themselves. But I digress. Affairs often come with self-doubt for the person who's being cheated on. This is what Colette had to say about that. Quote, they're doubting their reality, like, how was I not enough? What did I miss? And it results in lower self-esteem and the feeling of helplessness. Close quote. That quote really hit close to home because that's something that I had to deal with. When I had to deal with the extramarital affair that happened with me, not recently, it shocked me and reeled me and threw me for a loop, and it did make me think all those same things. Well, dang, and my chopped liver. Do I suck? Well, do I smell? Am I funky? No, but breath is all right. It just, I'm saying, hey, whatever was cool. It made me doubt everything about my life because, you tie yourself to a person, the person is like, I'm not sure you thrill me enough. Someone else might. So, it's a tough, it basically is like a splash of cold water that just hits you and it just shocks you into thinking a lot of different things. Well, Colette went on to also say as well about that, quote, it comes down to letting your spouse know how you feel. Confront your partner about how you feel or what you're unsatisfied with. Affairs have a lot to do with internal struggles, so figure out where those triggers are really coming from. Close quote. Or if it's too far gone, like unfortunately with what I had to undergo, you just have to step out and abort the situation. That's just how it is. I just can't tell you. That's just how it is. And those are simply just my thoughts. Figure that you all would like to hear that. But I can tell you a relationship that isn't going through this. It is this wonderful partnership that we will see every Saturday between Ben Southern Jr. and Irene Southern. A partnership that is lock solid and one of the pillars of not just life, but of this network. Join those two as they talk about all the things in life from a spiritual aspect in Suds R Us podcast. You can catch them live tomorrow and every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the BS3 Network YouTube channel and the BS3 Network Facebook page. That is Suds R Us podcast live tomorrow and every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Now, coming up later, we will touch on being quick but not hurrying. But coming up next, the devastation in Houston has rocked that area and one of our colleagues here as well, because it literally has touched close to home. You're watching The Morning Shift on BS3 Network with Cole Johnson. We'll be right back on the other side. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Bobby J and Wise El Jefe, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do two circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, No, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
What's up, everybody? This is Information Man and the Information Man Show. Now, what I do is hard, cutting-edge analysis, assessment of what's happening in our world today, whether it be news, politics, current events, cultural issues, social issues, commentaries, what I do over here. Most of all is what we try to do here on the Information Man Show is try to get to a solution to the problems that we see today.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. Well, it is time to go into the green room with the shifters again, shall we? And along with the people who are greeting one another, yes, join the Playmaker, and I actually will join him later on as well. He will touch on the NBA playoffs and the beginning of the WNBA as well, season as well. That will be at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel. That is Shooting Lights Out on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central later on today. Now, along with that, we're seeing a lot of the shifters greeting one another, and I love it. I love it. Cool. I feel for your Nuggets. It was a tough night last night, but hey. Game 7. And I said that I want 7. I got 7. And yes, breaking news from the PGA Championship. And this happened early this morning. The number 1 golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler, he was detained by authorities in Louisville ahead of the second round of the PGA tournament. Ryan, in touch on that. Along with that, he was saying, yeah, it's wild what's happening in Louisville right now. There's even a mugshot of Scheffler. Yeah, so we'll touch on that probably on Monday. And I saw that real quickly before I began, but I figured, no, I'll let that go. But hey, I got to thank my man Playmaker for being on the ball. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. And yes, the second round of the PGA Tour Championship will be underway in Louisville. They probably teed off right now, actually. Since it's what, 8:35 there? Yeah, they probably started to tee off for the second round. See, this is what I love doing. I love being a conduit of positivity and happiness, and I love the fact that I get a chance to promote many different things, and I get a chance to shine the light on beautiful things. Unfortunately, there's also a part of this job that I dislike, and this is one of those things that I dislike. but I have to do it because it's necessary. For those who don't know, there was a devastating storm in Southeast Texas and primarily in Houston where they had to deal with a lot of tornadic behavior. And I don't know if a tornado actually touched down, but it was like a tornadic disturbance and hurricane force winds and gusts that blew through the area with a lot of rain as well. And just the devastation just keeps coming about the storm that blew through yesterday. So in our cover story today, we will touch on what has transpired literally in the last month in the Houston area weather-wise, and really the resiliency of H-Town. Powerful storms blasted through southeastern Texas on Thursday with winds as high as 80 miles an hour, heavy rain as well, killing 4 and causing power outages to more than, or I should say about, and more than 1 million customers, toppling over trees and dumping even more heavy rain on a region already soaked from recent storms. And yes, this is actually, since this show actually debuted, the first weather disturbance of significance I remember was a lot of flash flooding that took place, and I think that was like 2 weeks ago. And so, yeah, the area hasn't been dry yet, and here we come with another storm. Sometimes I have to, when I lived in Houston, I'd ask the question, well, where was this in those 10 and 12 and 14 days where you see nothing but intense heat? But you don't want to see this as well. Or tornado watch shifted through eastward with the storm sliding from Texas to southwestern Louisiana as the storms move through the region. Flood warnings or watches for intense rainfall were in effect through Mississippi and Alabama, as well as far east as the Florida Panhandle. So we're talking Pensacola. And the National Weather Service warned of a high risk of excessive rainfall for the Texas-Louisiana state line or border, just a bit north of Beaumont through Friday morning. In a briefing, Houston Mayor John Whitmire said the 4 people were killed in the storms and warned people to stay off the roads. He went on to say in that briefing, quote, "We had a storm with 100-mile-an-hour winds, the equivalent of Hurricane Ike, with considerable damage downtown. And we were hit hard, and most of the traffic lights in the city were down." Close quote. And he also stressed that they needed to stay home last night and really don't even intend to even go to work today. And he stressed that, basically sort of like COVID-19 rules. He told them just stay home, don't go to work unless you're an essential worker. And he couldn't emphasize that enough. And he said that they are still in recovery mode. And I think they've been in recovery mode really for the last 2 weeks. Not necessarily with this storm, but just with flash flood stuff and now this. Weather Service meteorologists in Houston warn that the winds were so high across such a broad area that it would be difficult to determine whether a tornado really did touch down without direct photo evidence of a field survey. So you had Ed Gonzalez, who posted on X, he's the Harris County Sheriff, that an adult female died in a house fire, and it wasn't immediately clear that the death was among one of the 4 that Mayor Whitmire mentioned. Emergency management officials shared photos with Weather Service of a set of towers holding high voltage transmission lines lying on the ground and sitting uncovered near water in the Houston area. The mayor went on to say as well, quote, "We had firefighters taking live wires off of off of US Highway 290 this afternoon that were blocking the thoroughfares." Close quote. Now you have to understand, if you don't live in the Houston area, 290, you might as well regard it as a freeway. Basically, it's a US highway that is built like a freeway. It basically extends through the northwestern part of Houston. And there's a lot of traffic that goes through there. You know, you have, you know, Cy Fair and Jersey City and Hockley and other cities and suburbs of that area. So, and of course, a lot of people who still live in Houston too. So there's a lot of traffic that rolls through. That is a big thing. CenterPoint Energy, the second biggest electrical provider in Texas, provided information on X, saying that a quote fast-moving but severe weather system has caused widespread power outages across the service area, close quote, and warned that restoration times may be delayed or unavailable. The mayor said that it would take at least 48 hours to repair some of the electrical outages. Now, as of last night, power outages in Texas hovered around 1 million. And according to USA Today, in Louisiana, more than 70,000 customers were out electricity as well. Earlier in the day, the Weather Service had provided warnings of possible life-threatening flash floods, hail, tornadoes across not just the Gulf Coast area, but the Southern Plains as well. And more than 15 million were under that weather advisory, with the most severe watches, of course, for the east, central, and southern Texas and Louisiana and southwestern Louisiana. Weather was warned of a high risk, at least a 70% of chances of life-threatening flash flooding. Now, how has it impacted Intercontinental and Hobby? Over 350 flights were delayed and nearly 100 were canceled as thunderstorms picked up with intensity. Departing flights were delayed on average by more than 2.5 hours. And that's information given to us by the FAA, or Federal Aviation Administration. Crews with the Texas Department of Transportation in Lufkin, which is about 170 miles south of Dallas, 120 miles north of Houston, they plan to work through the night and monitoring the roadways for flooding and other possible emergencies. Rainfall rates between 1 and 2 inches per hour will be common, while some areas may get hit with upwards to 3 inches per hour. The Weather Service says that over the past 2 weeks, Eastern Texas and part of Louisiana has seen 600% of their normal rainfall, only increasing the chances of flooding as the new storms have swept through the Gulf Coast area. And this is the personal part that hits me. To my friend and colleague Chris Gardner, now you may see him on the BS3 Network. He does the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. He's fine. He's alive. However, he suffered 2 trees that fell in his backyard porch. One of them, I believe he said, was covering his car. So, and as the disturbance came through, he heard his disturbance basically shattered one of his windows. And the storms were so hard and the winds were so hard that he actually had to go into a closet to protect himself. So prayers to you, my friend. And I hope, KG, that things are good with you now. And I hope that you can find it good, that you can pick up and keep going. We're with you, my brother, and stay safe. And we will be with you. And whatever you need from me personally, let me know. And whatever anybody in the BS3 Network can do, please let us know, because you're family, brother. And I've been through that situation when I lived in Houston plenty of times. It sucks, my man. So stay through it. You've been a Houstonian pretty much all your life. You got the resiliency that the rest of that area has. So I know you'll come out on the other side better. And that is today's cover story. Prayers to everybody in Houston, southeastern Texas, and southwestern Louisiana portion of the U.S. as you recover from power outages and storm damage. When we return, be quick, but never hurry. That's Enlighten the Way, and that's next. Eric Butler, a.k.a.
the intellect, aka Cullinan. I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land, aka the Atlantic, cold, deep, and choppy.
Latoya the therapist, aka
them kids' mama, aka Jeff's wife, aka Latoya the therapist. I am a licensed professional counselor.
Beauty and Brains, clinical and principled, insightful and intelligent. BS3 Network proudly presents Perspective live every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all. We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all.
The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BSC Network. I am Cole Johnson. Back to the shifters, and it looks like they're giving me up-to-the-date information on the PGA Championship and what is going on with Scotty Scheffler. Cool McCain, he says, yeah, he had a cop hanging around his car about 20 yards before he stopped the car. They yanked him out and put him in cuffs. Ryan McCarthy, no credentials. I'm sorry, my bad. Cool McCain of, let me see if I can think of all the shows you have, man. Playmakers, Sports Talk, NFC Beast when it's on in the fall, Eagles Elite, Monarchs of Wrestling. Dang, the scroll keeps getting longer, bro, every time I think about you. Anyway, one of the hardest working content creators I know, and one of my brothers of broadcasting. Good brother to know. Ryan McCarthy, another one of the brothers of broadcasting. He, of No Credentials Required fame, he says it could have been a microburst or a derecho that tore through that part of Houston. I'm thinking it might be, and Houston is not immune to those types of weather disturbances, especially around the summer. And although, yes, we're still in the spring, it can get a little volatile because that is it was sort of like hurricane like in feel. So yeah, this is something that is not immune to the Houston area. It can take place as early as even April because of how crazy the weather can get and how warm and humid the weather can be, especially starting now there. Playmaker talking about the PGA Championship. He says, yes, it got delayed. The second round got delayed, and Scheffler has been released. So that's good news for the world's number one men's golfer in the game. hopefully everything can return back to normal there. And again, I hope everything can return back to normal for those in Houston. And I hope those who weren't devastated by those high gust winds, that you were able to stay safe where you are. And that includes my parents and a huge swath of my friends. Now, be quick, but not hurry. And this was a lesson I had to deal with at work because I was struggling mightily bad. And I have to actually unpack this. So be quick, but not hurry. That is on tap for Lighting the Way. I was rushing so bad at work to the point where I was just simply making error after error after error. And I just didn't have an answer for it. And I just was at my wit's end, figuratively, literally, and mentally and emotionally and psychologically. But then I prayed, and then I realized, well, you're gonna have to slow down. One of the greatest teachers that I think we've ever had was John Wooden. Now, he was known as the Wizard of Westwood. And for those that don't know, UCLA is technically in Westwood, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. The late UCLA men's basketball coach who won 10 national championships in his career, if I'm not mistaken, he had what was termed the pyramid of success. And it has been so much a huge part of how people were trained. Many life coaches have taken, and I'm talking about people who aren't in the sports realm, have taken from the pyramid of success and talked about it. Because it's not just about how to be a great basketball player, it's really how to be a great citizen in life. And he believed that all the way through his coaching career. One of his most popular sayings, and I said it earlier, was, quote, be quick, but never hurry, close quote. And so I was thinking about that. I was like, what scripture can align with that type of thinking? Be quick, but not hurry. It's like, it sounds biblical, but it's not quite. So what can align to it? And then, of course, I had to go to the source of wisdom, Solomon. Because I was like, I know in the myriad of bars he dropped, if we considered what Solomon wrote in the book of Proverbs, bars that you wrote in hip hop, I know they can find one where it basically talks about that, and I'll be doggone. Yes, there is. Chapter 21, verse 5 of the book of Proverbs says, quote, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Close quote. Wisdom just has a way to shake you into thinking, whoa, wait a minute. Man, I'm thinking about this all wrong. So I had to do these things, and I hope that you all do it as well. Don't try to remember everything. Write it all down. I had such hubris. I was like, man, I got a great mind. I have a sharp trap. I mean, you just throw me anything, and I can remember it. Yeah, but I got to understand. I'm like, I'm on the time clock. There's certain things I can't remember like I can at a snap of a finger like I used to when I was 20. I'm not 20. So if it's pertinent, if it's important information, pertinent information, jot it down. Don't think I have the hubris of remembering everything, and do the same. Don't think you have the hubris of remembering everything either. Don't try to be like Jay-Z and act as like, I don't need to write anything down. I can spit it from up here and it just comes out. Okay, well, good for you. Not all of us have that ability. Steady yourself. Clear your mind and steady yourself. Be focused. And the only way you can be focused is if you are calm. Remember, Jesus says, peace I bring with you, and peace I leave with you. So you got to remember, God's peace has to be with you. And when you are peaceful, that is when you are most aligned, well, with God, obviously, and focused. So clear your mind. Stop having it be rushed and busied. And steady yourself. And when you clear your mind and you steady yourself, slow it down. I learned that mistakes come when you mindlessly go through your day, when you think that you don't have a time for a break, you think you can't stop, you think that you have to keep going, you got to keep pushing, and you got to keep running, and you got to keep running, and you got to keep going. Stop. Slow down. And you may have to slow it down to uncomfortable levels for others, but you slow it down, and then you have to be, of course, intentional in doing your stuff, but slow down. Nothing comes from being rushed but mistakes. Slow it down. And then once you've cleared your mind, you steady yourself, you slow it down, plan. Because planning is the ultimate way to being efficient and not hurrying along. Because that is really what all that is about. What Solomon said, you're being diligent when you're at work. So the plans of the diligent leads to abundance. So, okay, if that's the case, plan my stuff. And the only way you can plan is if you are calm, you're steady, and you slow down to the point where you can actually focus on details one at a time. Remember, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Well, when I heard that, it shook me to my core. So I'm better at work now because of that and because of Solomon. So Solomon, thank you. And to all of you out there, thank you. I totally appreciate you because I have become a better person because of doing that very thing. Well, that is all the time I have. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad that I have come into your homes or your computers every day for now the last, 3 weeks. Wow, man, time flies when you're having fun. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. And thank you for subscribing. And thank you for hitting that notification bell so you can catch every broadcast that comes from the morning shift. I love doing this for you, and I love all of you shifters. Thank you so much. For all of us here at BS3 Network and the Morning Shift, I am Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as I always do, if you lack commitment, you will never start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And if you lack love, you most certainly will never conquer. Until we meet again in 71 hours, have a wonderful weekend, and so long, shifters. Be blessed. I love you.